The Legend of the 90 Seconds, Bruce Lee vs. the Navy SEAL. A Navy SEAL once challenged Bruce Lee, believing it would be just another fight. 90 seconds later, his life was never the same. But that story didn't begin with a punch or an open challenge. It began with a look in a closed room, where the silence weighed heavier than fists. No one imagined what was about to happen. No one, except perhaps one of the men present. It was late 1968. The room smelled of sweat and leather, and the air was thick with a quiet tension. Bruce Lee stood near the center of the mat. His black t-shirt, damp from effort, clung to a lean, powerful body built for speed and control. He silently observed a group of military men practicing basic defensive maneuvers. Their movements were rigid, forced. They had not yet mastered their own bodies. Bruce had been invited discreetly, as a personal favor to a friend tasked with training special operations candidates. The session was meant to be simple. A technical demonstration, an exchange of knowledge between men who understood violence, not as a spectacle, but as a last resort. But one man present hadn't come to learn. The challenger. First Sergeant Ray Dalton leaned against the back wall with his arms crossed. Standing nearly 6 feet 3 inches and weighing over 220 pounds of compact muscle, his body hadn't been shaped in a gym, but in freezing waters, controlled explosions, and deployments where a single mistake was paid for in blood. His forearms were thick as pier ropes. His posture was that of a predator at rest. From the first minute, his eyes never left Bruce Lee. To Dalton, the barefoot man on the mat wasn't a threat. He was a curiosity, an actor, an inflated myth. He had heard the rumors circulating the base, that this Chinese man was different, that he had accepted private challenges, that his speed seemed to break the laws of physics. But Dalton didn't believe in stories. In his world, truth was measured in broken bones, extinguished breaths, and men who didn't get back up. The demonstration continued. Bruce worked with one of the youngest recruits, adjusting his stance with 2 fingers and explaining the mechanics of a stop hit with the serenity of a university professor. He wasn't teaching how to hit, he was teaching how to finish. The confrontation. When the session paused for water, Dalton pushed off the wall. Conversations died. The air grew heavy. Bruce noticed him approaching but didn't react. He stood still, a towel over his shoulder, his breathing calm. Dalton stopped a few feet from the mat. "So you're the guy?" he asked. His voice held no rage, just a flat certainty, the kind belonging to a man who had never had a reason to doubt himself. Bruce tilted his head slightly. "I am a guy." A few nervous laughs escaped the recruits. Dalton didn't smile. "I've heard a lot about you," he continued. "They say you're fast, that you knocked out some karate guys who didn't know better." He paused, letting the silence grow. "But I wonder, what happens when you face a real man? Someone who has been to hell, not a tournament fighter, not an actor who needs to protect his face." He took a step forward. "Someone who doesn't believe in rules." The room went dead silent. Bruce's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed with absolute concentration. "Are you asking me to fight you?" Bruce asked softly. It wasn't a challenge. It was a genuine, almost academic question. Dalton shrugged. "I'm asking you to prove you aren't what I think you are." "And what do you think I am?" "A fraud." The 90-second reality. The word hit the room like a slap. An officer tried to intervene, but Bruce raised a hand to stop him. "If I am a fraud," Bruce said with absolute calm, "then you have nothing to worry about." Dalton smiled, a cold, predatory smile. "Then let's find out." The commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Harmon, stepped forward. "Gentlemen, this isn't." "It's fine," Bruce interrupted. "Let him have what he wants." Dalton stripped off his shirt, revealing a torso that was a map of scars and hardened muscle. He stepped onto the mat. Bruce handed his towel to a recruit. He didn't stretch. He simply moved to face Dalton. Dalton took a boxing stance, chin tucked, weight distributed. He began to circle. Bruce stood almost square on, hands low, appearing casual. But to those who knew combat, he looked like a compressed spring. "Whenever you're ready, movie star," Dalton provoked. Dalton feinted. Bruce didn't flinch. Irritated by the lack of reaction, Dalton launched a straight right. a measuring blow designed to test defenses. Then Bruce moved. The movement was so fast witnesses couldn't later describe it. Bruce's torso shifted inches to the left, just enough for the fist to graze his cheek. Simultaneously, his right hand shot out, a vertical punch traveling less than 12 inches. It slammed into Dalton's sternum. Dalton's momentum stopped instantly, as if he'd hit a brick wall. The air left his lungs in an involuntary grunt. He stumbled back, clutching his chest. Bruce was already still again. It had taken less than a second. The breakdown. Dalton lunged again, this time with a flurry. Jab, cross, left hook. Bruce slipped the jab, parried the cross, and before the hook could land, Bruce entered his guard with an upward palm strike to the jaw. Dalton's head snapped back. His knees buckled. Bruce stepped back and waited. Fury replaced Dalton's discipline. He charged with 220 pounds of raw aggression, intending to turn it into a wrestling match. Bruce didn't retreat. He advanced. At the last second, Bruce pivoted. Dalton's own momentum sent him sailing past his target. Bruce swept Dalton's lead leg, and the big man crashed violently onto the mat. Before he could recover, a fist stopped an inch from his throat. Lucky, Dalton spat, his pride crumbling. He tried a low Muay Thai kick. Bruce blocked it with his shin and countered with a side kick that buried into Dalton's hip. Dalton's leg gave out. He had to catch himself on a recruit's shoulder just to stay upright. "You're hurt," Bruce said calmly. "There is no need to continue." "I'll decide when it's over," Dalton growled. "Then you have decided," Bruce replied. Dalton lunged one last time for a clinch. His hands caught only air. Bruce moved with perfect economy, his elbow rising in a short, compact arc. The impact caught Dalton directly on the temple. The sound was sharp. Dalton fell to his knees. His eyes lost their focus. "Enough," Commander Harmon ordered, stepping forward with relief in his voice. But Dalton wasn't finished yet. He rose unsteadily, held up by nothing but pride. He threw a slow, clumsy, desperate right hook. What Bruce did next would be remembered for years. He didn't dodge, he didn't counter. He caught the wrist, redirected the blow, and in the same motion applied pressure to a precise point beneath the ear. Dalton's body tensed for a fraction of a second, then collapsed. The silence was absolute. Dalton lay unconscious on the mat, breathing shallowly. Bruce took a step back. His breathing remained steady. There was no triumph in his expression nor contempt, only neutrality. Harmon rushed toward Dalton. "He's breathing, call the medic." Bruce took his towel and calmly dried his hands, as if he had just finished a class. A young recruit, adrenaline still vibrating in his voice, dared to ask, "What did you do to him?" "I helped him sleep." "How?" Bruce looked at him briefly. "The body has many switches. Few know where they are. Even fewer know how to use them." The realization. Dalton began to stir. When he opened his eyes, his gaze met Bruce's. There was shame but also something new, recognition. "You lost," Harmon said firmly. Dalton accepted it in silence. "I've fought many men," he finally murmured. "Truly, and I couldn't even touch you." Bruce approached and crouched in front of him. "You are strong, you have experience, but you fought with your body, not your mind." Dalton frowned. "What does that mean?" "You decided who I was before we even started," Bruce replied. "You fought the man you imagined, not the one standing in front of you." He paused briefly. "Fighting is not about strength, it is about truth. He who sees reality clearly will always defeat the one who only sees what he wants to see." Dalton swallowed hard. "I've built my life being the toughest man in the room. If I'm not that, what am I?" Bruce extended his hand. "A man who has just begun to be truly strong." The legacy. Months later, Dalton appeared at the place where Bruce trained in Los Angeles. He didn't go to fight. He went to learn. Years later, after Bruce Lee's passing, Dalton would remember that night not as a combat, but as the moment he heard a truth impossible to forget. The mind can take a lifetime to master, but the man who masters it will never be defeated. If this story reminded you that true strength isn't in the muscles, but in the mind, subscribe to the channel, because here we don't just recount fights. We reveal the battles that transform men forever. See you in the next video. Music.